to Shelf Talks. I'm your host, Roberta, and today we are excited to have with us Sarah Kaminski, founder of Best Ever Granola, a granola brand founded in 2020 that focuses on local ingredient sourcing, sustainability, and epic taste. To date, Sarah has grown the brand into 8 SKUs and counting and has expanded into over 100 retail locations in 10 states, an applause-worthy feat. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Roberta.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about you and, of course, your brand. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
So, can you take us back kind of prior to 2020 and give us insight into what your life looked like?
So I actually have my education background, my formal education is in education. I have a master's degree in education and I taught first and second grade for 7 years. I really love teaching. I still love to teach. But when our first son was born in 2014, I really struggled with just being on all the time. I struggled with, working nights and taking work home every night and with a commute and a 40 plus work week. It just wasn't working for me. So in 2015, he was just over a year, I started offering health coaching and I did that at night and on the weekends. And I did that for 2.5 years until I was able to break away from teaching and sort of use health coaching as a bridge to focus on full time. And I did that until 2020, until COVID, when, the world sort of shifted for everybody.
Right.
And that's what I was doing before Best Ever Granola.
So, what made you kind of think about opportunity to launch a brand?
So over the course of time that I was offering health coaching and consulting, I had developed dozens of plant forward, plant dense recipes. And our original granola was one of those recipes. So when the pandemic hit in 2020, my health coaching business took a big hit. People just weren't investing in coaching. So I had a little bit of time and space thanks to a PPP loan to think like, okay, what can I do? What's my pivot here? That summer, I looked at my husband Chris and said, what about that original granola? Everybody loves that granola. What if we just packaged that up and sold it? And he's like, let's run some numbers and see if it would make sense. So we did. We ran some numbers and I did some research. And by that October, early November, I was working on ingredient sourcing and getting all of our certifications with, at the time, was just with the cottage food law here in Pennsylvania because I was starting out of my 3 rack home oven in my kitchen. So had our home kitchen certified through the state and, met all my packaging requirements. I didn't have a barcode on the back or anything fancy. I just had, my logo sticker on one side of the bag and I had our ingredient label on the back. And by that holiday season, so like right around Thanksgiving of 2020, I was putting Best Ever Granola out to the world.
Wow. So, how did you even figure out where to find ingredients? What were first steps around that?
So back in, I don't know, probably like 15 years ago, I had started to really open my eyes around our food system in the US and how broken it is. And that had sort of kicked me off on a journey of really transforming the way that I ate, the way that I shopped, the way that my family eats. And so I took that same approach when it came to ingredient sourcing for Best Ever Granola, like no shortcuts, putting, the absolute best, highest quality ingredients into the end product. And I'm really proud to say that that's something that, we continue to do. And it's something that we will continue to do. I will certainly stop making a SKU or a product before making a shortcut. Whenever I was initially sourcing ingredients, I was thinking as locally as possible. So I was connecting with Frankfurt Farms up in Saxonburg for like our rolled oats, a lot of our seeds, Steel City Salt Company in Millvale for our pink Himalayan sea salts. I connected with Paul Family Farms. They do pure Pennsylvania maple syrup. They're out of Gailton, PA. For our cacao nibs, initially, I was connecting with Colombino. He does a direct import of cacao and coffee beans from small Colombian family farms. So those were a lot of the partnerships that I made in the very beginning. And they were intentional for two reasons. One, I knew I knew that I could trust those brands, right? I knew that I was going to be bringing in high quality product from all of those purveyors, which was going to contribute to the end product that we were producing. But it was also going to give us, as a brand new baby brand, some street cred coming out, because people knew Steel City Salt Company. Linking all of our arms to create a new product was beneficial all around.
Yeah.
For us as the, producers, and also for our customer.
Yeah. That's great. I love how you really, made sure you were sourcing ingredients that you kind of were directly connected with. So you knew that it was, really quality kind of ingredients and products that you were putting in. So when you launched and you said you started kind of making it at home and selling it from there, what were the outlets in which you were initially selling?
My husband co-founded Three Rivers Outdoor Company in Regent Square. So at the time we had that retail outlet. And so we were like, we'll put it in Three Rivers Outdoor Company. I'll sell it online. I had a little bit of a social media presence. And we thought, all right, we'll just start there. We're going to sell it online. We're going to put it in the shop. And that's just where we were going to start. Well, it turns out that nobody was doing a specialty granola in Pittsburgh. So people were really excited about what we were doing. And by the end of 2020, so in just those first 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks, I had just almost 10 wholesale partners that were interested in working with me. And it just sort of all happened very organically. I think, again, because of, the strategic partnerships that I made with ingredient sourcing, that really helped a lot. We all just want to lift each other up and see each other succeed. And a little bit of word of mouth and introducing, hey, did you know this is Sarah? She's making this awesome, gluten-free granola. You should bring it in. It would do really great in your space. And I wasn't really planning on a wholesale outlet or on a retail outlet. That wasn't my original goal, but it was sort of, arrows were pointing to that direction. So come January, when I really had the opportunity to sit down after the hustle of the holidays and do some goal setting, it was like, all right, let's come up with like a really strategic plan and growing, the wholesale channel of our business.
Yeah. With that, kind of not originally having a plan to go into retail, as you were having those opportunities, what were kind of the changes that you had to make in your business pretty quickly in order to be able to be on shelf?
So thankfully, my husband has a buying background. So he has a very similar background to yours. And so he was able to help me, build that margin in from the very beginning, which was really
Nice.
great. So there weren't any pricing structure changes that needed to happen, which was great. It just sort of allowed us to just keep moving without any big hiccups. Our packaging redesign didn't come until later in 2021. One thing that we did have to change pretty quickly, because I wasn't thinking about wholesale, I was selling my product as a single unit. So I remember the first person that said, how many bags are in your units are in your case? And oh gosh, I don't know. So I'm hunting around my house looking for a box, trying to figure out how many bags would fit in this box. And I just really figured it out as I went. We're really now coming into year 4, or entering, I guess, into year 5, thinking about resizing our case pack. Because as we're like growing to larger retailers, I'm realizing that, they want a certain number on shelf, and that maybe our case pack size isn't ideal. But that's something that we're just now kind of re-exploring now coming into 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was early feedback from consumers when you first started selling?
That it really is the best ever. I think a lot of people, from a marketing perspective, people always ask, how did you come up with the name Best Ever Granola?
Yeah.
That was just what it was always called on my blog. So whenever I went to package it, I never in a million years thought, oh, we should rename it. I'm like, well, no, it's just Best Ever Granola. So that's what we're going to call it. And we added that little tagline on the logo that says seriously, because people think like, wow, that's a pretty bold claim to say that something is the best ever. But it piques curiosity. And I think it's enough for people to, want to pull it off shelf and say like, all right, I'm just going to have to decide for myself. So it's worked out well for us.
Yeah, I love that name too, because I agree. It definitely intrigues you to say, is this really the best ever granola? Let me purchase it and try.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So once you started to get in some retail stores, and I love, it looks like just from the retailers that you started to get into, you really were following, I feel like, the journey of the consumer. Just listing a couple of places, gift shops, local sports shops, campus stores, juiceries, coffee shops, all places that I feel aren't initially kind of on, a brand's vision board. Because, a lot of people think, oh, I want to go into 12,000 Walmarts, right? As the first destination, but being able to touch your consumer exactly where they are and where they shop, I think is just super unique and definitely a way that you can really connect with your consumers from the onset.
Yeah, thank you. I think in that very first year when we decided, there was certainly all these fingers pointing to, the opportunity that was going to be available for us in wholesale and creating partnerships. And not only is it really fun to, connect with and create partnerships and get to know other small businesses, but it really, like you said, gives the opportunity for you to connect with your consumer on a much more intimate level because they're shopping at a more intimate level. That first year, I was really focusing on brand awareness. So I wanted people to think, in any pocket that they went in the city of Pittsburgh is, all I was thinking in that first year.
Yeah.
If every little neighborhood that they go to, they're seeing our product, they're going to be like, there's that granola again. And again, going to pique that curiosity and, sort of entice them or encourage them to pick up a bag for themselves. And a lot of those people from that very first year have, continued to be our customers to today. And, that's exciting, not only for us, but also for the retailers, the small retailers that we've partnered with to carry our products. So it's a win again for everybody.
How do you go about continuing to get new consumers into Best Ever Granola?
So we're pretty active on social media. That first year, I was posting like 5 to 6 times per week. Now I'm posting probably like 2 to 4 times per week. It's a lot less, but all of our marketing to this point has been organic. I haven't had a single dollar in paid
Wow.
ad spend. So, between our social media marketing and, just showing up to provide value, we're not just constantly selling. This time of the year, I think is probably like we're leading up into the holidays is like the big push that we have for, sales all year long, really what our focus is and not just online, but when we see people at markets and pop-up shops is to create connections with people. I want people to know that, there's a real human behind the brand. There are real people that make it, we don't work with a co-packer. Everything that we do is small batch. So we have a team of people that, hand bakes and hand packs everything. And there's a story behind that. And I think there's a big value to the consumer to know that there was such great care, into the product that they're not just feeding themselves, but the people that they love.
Yeah. So when you went from kind of making it in your home through the cottage law and then moving to a manufacturer, what kind of sparked that change? Was it going into more retail stores and having to scale?
I think it was realizing like, within that first 8 weeks, I mean, I think that those first 6 weeks leading up into Christmas, I had baked nearly 300 pounds of granola out of my tiny 3 rack home oven.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, all right, like we're gonna do this thing, but like we can't do it here anymore.
Right?
Um, my family was sick of being like, you sorry, you can't be here today because I'm baking granola again, It just wasn't working out for everybody. So we quickly grew into a shared commercial kitchen space. And by the end of February of 2021, we were fully operating out of that space. And that meant being also inspected through Allegheny Health Department. So there's like different layers, zoning, locally, and then at the county level and the state level, they need to do. But moving into that larger kitchen meant that we were ready for that next layer of health inspection. And I don't know, it seemed like really real at that point.
Right. You weren't in your kitchen anymore.
Right, exactly. I'm like, all right, like we're really doing this thing, like big stainless steel, tables and appliances and this awesome dishwasher. But I'll never forget that first, batch that we baked out of those ovens because I truly, 4x what I could produce in half the amount of time. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. This is like you could just really see the ability that we had or I guess the opportunity for growth. Whereas, I wasn't seeing that we grew very quickly out of my home oven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still in the manufacturing facility making it today?
Yes, this fall we found a space to move Best Ever Granola permanently to call our own home in Warrendale. So right now we're in Squirrel Hill. We're going to be moving all of our production north to Warrendale in our own facility. It'll be a dedicated gluten-free facility, which will be incredible. And it's another one of those moments where it just feels really exciting because I see the potential for growth. Like we're really limited to what we can do in terms of, being able to just go in. We have to schedule our time where we are now. There'll be no limits on that. So it's going to be really exciting to build in more time for production, get more creative with what we have to offer, be able to offer more fuller time work to my team is an exciting possibility too. So it's all good stuff. It's a lot though. Like this morning I was there painting yesterday. I was there painting today. And then, I'm running around packing orders in between and answering emails. And now I'm here with you. And so, it's multifaceted, but it's a good growing pain.
Yeah, it sounds like exciting too because you're doing something different like throughout the day and all the time. And you're
Yeah,
growing.
all the time.
So that's important. So for your launch into Giant Eagle Market District, how did that come about?
I had reached out to the market district buying team. I don't even remember when, but I think what people don't realize is like the length of time that it takes to get from like that initial opening up the conversation to like the product actually landing on shelf. So I want to say probably a year and a half. It was from like the initial email to, follow up until finally somebody, responded and said like, yes, I'll get on a call with you, because they were looking for a local cereal and we were going to fit that for them. And so the timing had to be right for the retailer. They maybe would have found us, but I think like, me having the courage to just, make that initial connection and do the continue, they say the fortunes in the follow-up, and, just continuing to remind somebody that, this could be a great fit, and this is why, and I'd love the opportunity to share more and send some samples. And then from there, it was still another probably 6 or 7 months before we were actually on shelf in Market District. Yeah.
So when you were kind of emailing, following up, and then getting that response, what was next steps after a buyer actually said, yes, would love to further the conversation? Did you have kind of a formal pitch?
No, it wasn't really a formal pitch. It was more just like a casual conversation like you and I are having now. I had already sent over product samples and, all of our pricing and SKU, details for them to look over and make sure that it was going to be a good fit, for their system and, to fit on the shelf and everything else. But it was a pretty casual conversation just about me and about our brand and what we have to offer, which was it was not formal at all. It was very relaxed and it was good. But I think bringing the human to any conversation it's good, right? I think we sometimes again have that like disconnect between like there's a brand and the person that makes it. And also, it's like this buyer is also just a person, right? Like she's just another person who, she's trying to meet the needs of her store at this time. And how can I help to fill that gap and just meet each other where we are? And it's worked out really great. Yeah.
That's great. So are there any major differences with, having product in kind of local places like the gift shop and the campus stores versus being in a grocer like Giant Eagle?
Yeah, I feel like it's been a lot harder to maintain, just really because of store turnover, to maintain really good relationships at the store level. With some of the stores we have a really great store level relationship, and with others it's like it feels like this constant need to be reintroducing and physically having to go in and check, because we can't necessarily trust that whoever we get on the phone is going to give us the right feedback for what needs, replenished. So it's been a lot more work, truly. I think that too, a lot of people that, manage a larger grocery store don't have the amount of like love or passion about it that somebody that, manages or owns their own small market or their, own coffee shop or gift shop too. So it's definitely been different experience.
Yeah. Are there any tactics that you've kind of implemented in order to be able to kind of be more visible and support consumer sales? Do you do any sampling or anything like that from a grocery perspective?
Yeah, we do. We do some demos. Market districts, one per store we've maybe done here in the first like year. So, I mean, I think there probably could have been more, but I also have like so many pieces moving that it's just not something that I can spend a ton of my time doing.
Yeah, no, I
um,
understand.
and it's worked. It's still worked. It's worked just fine. It's interesting that you ask that though, because demoing. We do a lot of sampling at events, and so sampling at events and demoing at a grocery store, two completely different things. Most people that are at an event, they want to be there, and you offer them the sample and they're, oh yeah, definitely, and they want to hear more about you. And the very first grocery store demo I ever did, I was kind of taking that same approach, like, oh, would you like to sample some granola? Well, people that are in a grocery store, they want to get in, they want to get out, they know what they're doing, they don't want to sit down and chit chat with you. So, I had to sort of, pivot and say, here is a sample of granola. And then if they were interested, they would sort of circle back and let the consumer sort of take the shopper, I guess, take the lead there. But it's definitely a different sampling experience.
Yeah, yeah. And then how are you driving consumers into stores when you think about kind of Giant Eagle and I believe Mom's Grocery you're in as well? Are there any levers that you're doing from a marketing perspective to drive traffic and awareness?
Yeah, so all of our retail partners are constantly being updated on our website, and we do that with, we don't have like a zip code finder, but we have everything alphabetized based on state and then area, so it's really easy to reference. We also too are, again, we're really active on social media, so I'm constantly, are consistently tagging all of those retail partners and doing shared posts. Again, we do a lot of events, and whenever I'm doing an event, I'm always thinking before I go, who are the retailers closest to these shoppers? If we're going to the South Hills, where am I telling them is the closest place to pick up our products? And, a lot of times, that is, Market District in Bethel Park or, wherever. So we're sharing in those ways as well.
Yeah. What I love too, and you kind of mentioned it on your social, is not about selling, but it's, I feel like, about two things. One is directing consumers where to shop. You do a
Mhm.
lot of that and letting them know where your product is available. But then, secondly, educating about how to utilize granola, like all of the different and cool
Yeah.
ways you can eat it, which I think is important and just, again, allows like more of a connection versus going on and just seeing sell, sell, sell.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Providing value is huge. And I think that that's like a big mistake that people often make with social media. It's like people aren't going on to social to shop necessarily, right?
Mhm.
We're going to make connections.
Yeah.
So when we go onto social media and we're getting hard pitched constantly by a person or a brand, it's going to be a major turnoff. And it is to me, it is to anybody, right? So for us, it's about providing value, creating connection, being entertaining. I used to teach English and we used to teach PI. I don't know if you remember this acronym, but
Yes.
it was author's purpose to persuade, inform, or entertain. And I take that same sort of framework and I bring that into our social media content. Like persuading obviously is to, encourage someone to maybe go to a different retailer, go to one of our retail partners, or, to go to our online shop or to attend an event that we're going to be going to, but to inform, tell them how they can enjoy our product, where to buy our products, things like that. And then to entertain, a lot of just like behind the scenes content, stuff that just makes people laugh, stuff that helps people remember that we're just humans that are
Yeah.
just running the business and doing the day to day.
Yeah. Love that. That's great. So what is your kind of retail strategy as, you move forward with the brand over the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see Best Ever Granola, going and growing?
Well, I would love to expand our products into more mom's organic groceries. Our product has been really a great complement, I think, to their offerings. The natural food channel, I think, is where our consumer mostly shops. So as we start to think about, more larger grocers, that's, I think, where I'm going to be putting a lot of our energy. But again, like moving into this production facility, we have a lot of opportunity for just more creativity and for growth in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. So, where can our audience buy Best Ever Granola and continue to follow the brand's journey and your journey in building it?
So our products can be found in just over 100 retailers in 10 states. Find the full list on our website at bestevergranola.com. We're on social, on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Best Ever Granola. And you can certainly find a retailer near you that carries our products. And if you don't, our online shop is always open. I do also ask people too, if there's a place that's convenient to you to pick up our products that you think might be a good fit, send us a quick note and let us know, because I'm constantly making new connections. That's how we have established these retail connections. Almost all of them is me just picking up the phone and calling.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, I have a product that I think might be a great fit for your store, and sending samples and just opening up.
So, it sounds like initially it was really about local and identifying retailers in Pennsylvania that would support the brand, but then you did expand into other states. Was that really from just kind of cold calling retailers, or how did that originate?
Most of our out of state partners. So a handful of those are Moms Organic. So when they brought us into a handful of their stores, they're in New York, New Jersey, and the other side of the state. And then others, the people say like Pittsburgh people are everywhere.
Mhm.
People will be like, hey, I'm from Pittsburgh and I had your granola, or my aunt sent me your granola and I want to bring it into, we're partnered with a bakery in Naples, Florida. She's from Pittsburgh. We're partnered with a market in Bend, Oregon. She's from Pittsburgh and just knew that our product would be a
Smart.
great complement to her offerings. We're also on a platform called Fair,
Mm.
which is a really small channel for us, truly, but it's helped to open up opportunities with a lot of out of state, I wouldn't even say a lot, but a handful of really great out of state partnerships, and even some in state.
Yeah, that's a good gem, is that fair? So I'll definitely
Yeah.
make sure I link where you can purchase, of course, and then that as well in the show notes. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Definitely great conversation. And I'm excited to continue to watch your story and watch the brand growth.
Yeah. Likewise. Thank you again so much for having me.
Yeah.